Welcome to another episode of Inspired Voices, the reality show edition. I'm here with my lovely fiance, Sybil.
Hello.
And so we got through a bunch of episodes, and now we're just going to be focusing on episode 13 of Love is Blind. The weddings.
The whole point.
The whole damn point of the show. And this is where it gets a little shocking, huh?
I mean, some of it, yes.
Yeah.
Some of it, not so much.
Right.
And some of it, it was a relief. I feel like I'm just like, oh, thank you. Let's make wise choices.
Right. I mean, they made a for this episode, the wedding season, the wedding episode, they made it so much different than any other season, honestly. Like, they really focused on each family member. Pretty
They drug
long.
it out.
They drug it out.
They drug it out.
To be frank.
Oh my gosh! Like at a certain point, like that could have been hour 15 easy.
Yeah.
We didn't need an hour and 45 minutes.
Yes, it's an hour and 45-minute episode.
A lot.
As soon as I saw that, I was like, yeah.
Yeah, no, you did. There was also an audible sigh. I was like, but it's the last one.
Right.
Besides the reunion, which why would you want to air it at 9 p.m. on a Sunday night? But that's fine.
Right.
That's fine. This is dedication.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Right.
we're here for it.
Yes. But don't worry, we're not going to say all the boring parts. We're going to just kind of highlight what pretty much is going on and stuff like that. So,
Well, some boring parts we may not be able to avoid because it was the episode, but I see what you're saying.
yeah.
All right, want to get into it?
Let's get into it.
All right. So we're going to open with Ben and Sarah where we left off at the I do's.
Right. Yeah. So the last episode we left off as they were at the altar. She got asked first, and there was a lot of heartbeat sound effects going on, and it was making me anxious. And then we black out. So now we open it back up on that.
We do. And Sarah says she wanted a partner to be on the same wavelength, so she can't marry him. So finally, she says no, even though this entire time they have been the couple that's been like, no, you know, everything's fine. No stress, no pressure.
He's the one.
But awkward part, then Ben is trying to play this off as like, we're not gonna break up though.
Right.
I still want, he still wants to stay if she'll let him.
Right.
And then Sarah's like, we'll see.
We'll see. Yeah.
In front of everyone.
Yeah,
it was very awkward.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Then Sarah leaves telling her family, see me in the back. See me in the back.
Yeah.
And then we realize that they had to drive to the wedding location. So then they have to drive back to the place where they got ready.
Right.
So it's also like a little awkward. Like past seasons, they could just kind of leave and go to the suite. This time there was a whole logistics issue with like getting the car.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah's sister goes back after her. They get in the car. And then we start seeing everything kind of unfold. Like this whole time, it's appeared to us at least that Sarah's just been like, everything's great. Everything's fine. And like trying to convince herself and everybody else. Mm-hmm. And finally, we just see that veil drop.
Right.
And she's telling her family she hopes she made the right decision. Ben's still inside hugging guests, kind of making the rounds.
Yeah. She says she's fine. Yeah, it's fine. It's all good. But I think she's just like numbing herself at that point.
I think she's just trying to get out of like that
But
scenario.
even when she was in the car, though, she said she was, oh, no, I'm fine, guys. It's okay. So I'm just sad.
It definitely started that way. And then she started to like
Open up.
mention like, hey, you know, like I had asked him about like BLM and like his church's views on things, and his response showed her he didn't have much to say about important conversations,
Right.
which I feel like most of us have been yelling at the TV for the past month.
Right.
And
There was no curiosity from his side.
and she wants someone to be more curious,
Right.
which I think is actually fair and a good way to put that. Now, Ben, on the other hand, is telling his friends he didn't see it coming,
Yeah.
even though they weren't aligned perfectly. But he pretty much seemed unfazed. Like,
Yeah, that's true.
it was just, I'm giving a speech.
It didn't work out, guys.
You know,
Yeah,
I've been on TV now. Maybe I'll be on Too Out to Handle next, you know, or Perfect Match, whatever. And then his friends pray for him. And then we see Sarah, and I can't remember if this was with her parent or her family or if this was just an individual interview. And she's finally just like, clearly it's not a good fit. And I was like, where have you been? Where have you been this whole time where we've been asking you, like, think about this. you're not aligned on like basic, human rights principles, things like that.
Yeah.
And then it just seemed kind of like done. Like, it was a bit anticlimactic considering, I really thought they were going to say, I thought she was going to say yes. And then like come the reunion, they'd be separated.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. 'Cause she made it seem that way for sure. Cool. Yeah. And then we move on to Monica and Joey.
They're getting ready.
Yeah.
Once again, Monica, like this last couple episodes, has opened her scenes with basically just being like, if Joey says yes, I'll say yes, but he's got a bit of a wall up.
But like she also says that like if I can't imagine being with somebody else as an amazing person as he is, like
Exactly.
She can't find anybody else like that.
Because and that's a real fear. Like if you meet somebody who's really great, but there are these couple things, and you can't quite get through.
Yeah.
I totally understand the mindset of, but they have so much other great stuff.
Right. Yeah.
So I want to throw the baby out with the bathwater kind of scenario.
I remember being in those relationships where it's like everything's so perfect and everything's so amazing, but it still didn't work out.
I don't remember being in those before.
Oh, okay,
I wasn't so lucky, but so Joey gets out of the car with his skateboard.
Yeah.
Immediately,
Yeah.
I was like, is this man going to skateboard down the aisle?
See, I didn't think that, but I thought he was just using a skateboard to go from the car to the door, which is like 10 feet. And I was like, oh, there he is. Okay, he's done with it.
Yeah, no. I
didn't think like you,
I was looking at him side-eye from the beginning. I was just like, what are we doing? Why does he have a skateboard?
Right.
So yeah, now, once again, Nicole, Monica's sister's there, because what would the episode be without Nicole?
Right. She really does look like a villain, doesn't she? I mean, no offense, but like...
It was I feel like you look more so like a villain when you're like, I don't think it's gonna work. Like you're just not letting up on it.
Even like the way she was made up and stuff like that after the makeup and hair and stuff like that, she looked like Cruella de Vil. I don't know, something.
She was also dressed in all black.
Oh yeah, I think that might have been it too.
Where I think.
And she had like red lipstick or something like that.
I actually don't remember,
Yeah.
but I do think a combination between what she was wearing, how she was made up, and what she was saying was giving like, girl, like let her make her own decision. Your sister's like, I'm smarter than you think. I'm stronger than you think.
Right.
Like, so Monica says she'll be sad if it doesn't happen. And she talks about setting her expectations low to avoid disappointment. And apparently this is something that like they do in their family.
Huh.
And Joey has been like, well, that's not great. Like, you don't want to set your expectations low.
Yeah.
But I get it. Like, it's
especially
a coping
with
mechanism.
that kind of thing happening. Like this whole Love Is Blind thing is like, you don't want to do that.
You're on the wrong show. Like,
Yeah.
That's not going to go great. Then we go to Joey and his groomsmen.
It'd be like a TV show called like First Time Lovers. That would be perfect for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. That doesn't end in marriage in the end.
Right.
Y'all just go out and like date.
Yeah.
We meet Joey and his groomsmen.
They seem fun.
Talk about how their values align with Monica.
Yeah, they're all wearing Hawaiian shirts.
Unfortunately.
And with their suits.
Well, it's snowing outside. And he had on penguin socks. Like it just,
Oh yeah.
None of it meshed for me. It wasn't my wedding, so it doesn't have to mesh for me.
Right.
But I couldn't handle it. So
And they're all a carbon copy of each other too, right? I think you said that.
I didn't a little bit. Like just because like when they were all together in the circle, like jumping up and down in their Hawaiian shirts, I was just like, why does everyone look so much alike?
They're bros, bro.
Like it was a lot. They were each at one point handling I want to call it an emotional support football, but it wasn't. It was like what is it? Like if you have it, then like
talk.
they're talking or something.
Yeah.
It was interesting. So Joey says whether Nicole, meaning Monica's sister, is genuine or not is up for debate, because at their meeting she said that they had her blessing but not really her support. And I was like, so interesting, because the way it was edited, like we were like, oh, everything's great.
Yeah.
Makes more sense. She's coming back and being like, I still don't think it's going to work. And then he's like, we don't really have her support though. I was like, This is a very interesting dynamic.
That's true. I didn't catch that. That was good on him for catching it though.
Joey's very astute. I feel like he comes out and like I feel like he said it. Like people think I'm super goofy and blah blah blah, but like I've got depth.
Yeah, that man is smart.
He does.
Yeah. for sure.
Once again, Nicole's questioning Monica's judgment. Monica's pushing back. And she says she's holding back a bit. But at this point, she has her hair all in her face.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you were just like, this looks terrible.
Every time the camera went to her, her hair was just more ridiculous. It was funny.
And then like her, one of her male friends who was there was like, you look ridiculous right now. Like he told her.
While they're trying to have like a deep conversation or something like that.
I mean, but to be fair, as the bride, you gotta sit and get pretty.
Yeah.
If the deep conversation happens, it happens.
Yeah.
You just gotta keep it moving.
Right.
So, oh yeah, at this point they switch back to Joey, and I see they're all in Hawaiian shirts and have WTF. Just like, what are we doing? We find out that Joey isn't a very touchy-feely or romantic person for Monica, and Monica is.
Which we knew a little bit, right? Because he was like, oh, yeah, I'm working on it. And she's like, yeah, it's getting better and stuff like that. So
We did. Honestly, I just thought it was kind of a moot point at this point because it came up that once.
Oh, right.
And then we kind of let it go.
Gotcha.
But now Monica's saying like they're still not quite there.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh. But she says it's gotten a little better and she knows they will get there.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought like, isn't that such a hard one to like get past when you have such a short period of time to get married?
Yeah.
If it's just not who you are. You're not a PDA person. You're not a physical touch. I feel like that's a big shift and a big ask for someone.
Yeah. Again, we talked about compliments beforehand.
Right.
And I feel like your love languages have to complement each other. Right?
Yeah. I mean, but I also feel like even if, you're not aligned, you don't have the same love languages, understanding the work it's going to be to meet someone else's.
Yeah. Like how much of a distance are you away from their love language? I think that's what determines if it's going to work out.
And like how annoyed are you going to be like trying to fulfill that need for them?
Yeah.
So we meet Joey's family, which we hadn't met this whole time. So we meet his mom and his two sisters because one passed away.
Oh, you know what I said about Joey?
What?
I said Joey looks like Jeff Daniels' little brother. Dumb and Dumber?
No, I know who you're talking about. I'm never going to unsee that. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, he looks like that.
Because he does, except with a different accent. But
Right,
yes.
of course.
Man. Okay.
So Joey's mom had an emotional football when she was talking. And
She
stuff
did.
Like that, yeah.
And she was praying that he meet the right person. And his mom tells us this quote, and she says he got it from, he actually tells us later, he got it from his sister that passed away. Right. And it's something like live, love, never regret. He actually says it correctly, like when he's, driving off later. But Joey's family, we find out they love Monica. So apparently they've met. I feel like we actually lost out on a lot of things, like seeing between Joey and Monica.
Even though we feel like things got drugged out. I mean, we still feel like we still missed a lot, I feel.
Yeah, like in other episodes.
Right.
Instead, messing with Lauren and Dave. So Joey's family loves Monica. They think she'll fit in. They think he's getting married. We also meet Joey's dad and stepmom. And it had a more serious vibe. Like it was just kind of very stoic. And at this point, they drag the wedding out unnecessarily. I will say they put a wheelchair out to represent his sister that passed.
Yeah.
And
his mom didn't know about it until she saw it.
No. And his mom,
And she just
is
lost
crying.
it.
And
Yeah.
honestly, that one right there, I will say when I saw that, I was like, oh, okay, this is a real wedding.
Yeah.
Because that is very sentimental, very respectful. You
Right.
want to honor someone. And it tugged at my heartstrings.
Yeah.
Not much in this season of Love is Blind has tugged at my heartstrings. It's tugged at my irritability.
Right.
But that one, I was just like, oh.
That was a nice touch.
Can a girl get a hug?
For sure. And then we have Joey skating down the aisle, right? Surfing. What's up, bro? Yeah. On a longboard.
There was a part of me that was like, if he fell right now, that would be so funny. Like, I wouldn't want it.
Yeah.
But it's also like, this is not the time to be skateboarding.
Right.
But okay.
It's him, though. And then he hands the skateboard, the longboard to his dad.
Yeah.
Or stepdad or someone.
His dad. Yeah.
And I felt like his dad was like, where the fuck do I put this?
He's just like, let me just put
It's
this
a
to the
long
side.
ass thing. Like, you can't just tuck it in somewhere.
Well, he went down with his skateboard, and Monica comes down the aisle with her parents and golden retriever energy. It was the exact same as when they met.
Yeah.
Like it was so.
It's almost like her parents were holding her back, like a dog, right?
So this whole time, it's been clear. Joey needs to answer first for Monica to figure out what she wants to do.
Right.
But then the worst nightmare happens for Monica, and they ask her first.
Yeah.
So Monica, we don't get much of a speech. You know, she's like, "Oh, I love you. You're great." But then she's like, "I don't right now." Mm-hmm. And I was shocked. I thought she was going to take the risk.
I thought so too.
And just go ahead and go.
Yeah.
And then Joey says he agreed. Now, it's really important that we note Monica said, "I love you." Just I don't right now. Mm-hmm. Joey says he agrees.
Yeah, not 100%.
He's not 100% either. It was the nicest breakup ever.
It really was. And it was to the point, it was so nice that every person in the audience was clapping for
They
them.
got a standing ovation when they left.
Yeah.
What kind of breakup is this?
Right.
Joey addressed the crowd. It was very sweet. They were very kind to one another.
Yeah, and he addressed the crowd very nicely.
They walked out arm in arm.
Yeah.
And it kind of awkwardly hugged in the back. And like she was still saying like, "I love you."
Yeah.
And he didn't respond. Like he didn't say it back. But they did like awkwardly hug. And I was just like, all right. So, honestly, I think I told you. I was like, well, why not just go to the reception though? Like you already got it. Y'all are clearly cool. Go get some cake.
Yeah, it seems like everybody was cool. So might as well just celebrate it.
I mean, it was like they got married. Like the celebration that was happening was weird.
Yeah.
So, we find out in kind of like their exit interviews, I guess, afterwards. Mm-hmm. Joey thinks Monica said no because of Monica's sister impacting things. Mm-hmm. And then they switch to Monica, and then he says, and because he needed to work on his aspect of physical affection. And I was glad he at least caught that part because I was like, I don't really think it's so much because of the sister.
Right.
Like, you have walls. And then we find out, he tells us this was the first time that Monica said she loved him at the altar.
I was surprised.
I was like, okay, so actually, no, y'all shouldn't be getting married.
Yeah.
You've got walls, she's got walls because you've got walls and all the things. And
yeah, I didn't realize that. She never said that.
No, and then it made more sense why he didn't say it back. Because it's, okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
So, he says, I didn't know that beforehand. How would you ever get married if you didn't know the other person loved you?
Yeah, that's the
Either
definite
way.
no. Right.
So now it just seems like, okay, well, clearly you guys have been great friends the whole time and hope that works out for you. Then we move on to Virginia and Devin.
Yes.
Your favorite person on the show. I
don't know why you have to rub that in.
No, I just have respect. She's lovely. So Virginia says she feels secure in their relationship.
Yeah.
Then Devin gets out of the car in what you refer to as his reading rainbow tennis shoes.
Yeah.
I was just like, you're right. It's true. Rainbow. And, meets with his groomsman, his dad. On both sides, it's giving very secure.
Yeah.
They're my person. I'm so happy to have met them, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. I say it looks like the couple saying yes from the beginning.
Right.
And I was like, bummer, because I don't want them to. I don't think this is I don't think they're aligned.
Right.
So Virginia and Devin's moms meet. Devin's mom comes in while Virginia's getting ready. Virginia was looking fabulous. Nobody's surprised. Mm-hmm. And
I was surprised. I thought she was
Oh, you were surprised? Okay.
Yeah, I was like,
all right.
whoa.
Nice cover. That's cute. Yeah. All right. Devin's mom gives Virginia a hug and welcomes her to their family. His sister's also there with their niece.
Yeah.
The niece got a snack because she understood it was going to be a long day, and I appreciated that about her.
And they kept cutting to her eating.
I mean, they're like, we feed people, guys. So then Devin's mom goes back to his suite and tells him that she feels pretty good about it and hopes everything goes smoothly.
Yeah.
Mom is invested. Mm-hmm. And we see very much of that investment later on. So then we meet Virginia's dad and stepmom. They come in. And then we even meet the wedding officiant. We have met everybody.
Right.
Between Virginia and Devin.
Yeah. It's a deal.
It's
a
lot.
done deal.
which I'm also like, we find out that the niece is going to be in the wedding, you know? So I'm just like, oh, okay. Like this is, once again, this is looking real.
Yeah.
And as Devin is getting ready, we see him put on a glittery, feathery gold D-pin.
Yeah. It's like 6 inches long.
And then it had the feathers.
And
It
it's
was
like,
just, it was a lot.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. And then Virginia has like a bouquet to match it. It's the biggest bouquet I've ever seen.
the bow was big.
It
is
had
the thing, right?
Well, it had the big bow,
Big ass
flowers,
bow.
and feathers.
Right.
It was cut like, so if you're walking, it's covering half of what people have come to see, and you can see it's coordinated with his pin.
Yeah.
It was a choice.
Yeah. I think if she would have lost the bow, it would have, or at least make it the bow smaller.
Right.
It would have worked out.
Just a lot
But
smaller.
that shit was
yeah.
like this. The bow was
It
this long.
layered. It was a
It's layered. Yeah. I don't get. Yeah.
So we go, officiant starts.
Yeah.
Devin says, I do.
Yeah.
He's first.
Right.
And then we get to Virginia, and there's a bit of a pause. And she just says, she's not ready.
Right.
My mouth dropped.
Yeah. Everyone's mouth dropped.
Yeah. His mama's mouth dropped for
Yeah,
sure.
the dad was
and
like,
sister was
"What?"
giving the bombastic side eye.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did not see that coming. I don't think anybody saw it coming, including her own family.
Right. Her dad verbally said, "What?"
That was so just like that was so real. And even her dad and Devin hug at one point. Like it was, everybody was like, wait, what? Because in the edit, this whole time, we have, I won't say this whole time, like we've seen the blips, like with their actual conversations where it was like, wait a minute, they don't seem aligned.
Right.
But it just, that's what it seemed like, a blip. You just move forward and it was like, I'm so happy I found him. He's my person. Dating's been so hard. And he's like, she's my best friend, blah, blah, blah. Devin is weeping.
Yeah.
He did
At
not see
first,
this
I thought it
coming.
was fake though, because like he would go like this, and then he would look, and there's no tears. I'm like, what are you crying? Like, are you crying? Or is you putting on a show? I wasn't sure. But then like at the end, I saw like the actual tears.
And then we, so he's crying, just there crying.
Yeah.
She leaves. She has to stay in the hallway in the back because once again, you can't exit to where you got ready.
Yeah.
Not cool.
So she's there with her people.
As rightfully so. Mama and friends followed her out. That is what you do, people. You don't leave your people who just broke up at the altar alone in the back.
Right.
Friends and family follow. So we also pan back. Devin's mom is weeping with his niece in her lap. And the niece says, what happened?
Yeah. And then the dad like awkwardly like moves in. It's like, she said no.
So like this kid's like 5. Like we didn't even need to get into all that.
No to what, daddy?
I know.
Yeah.
Jeez. So Devin and Virginia's dad hug.
Yeah.
You know, like even at this point, like they're comforting him. Everybody's so surprised. Now, Devin and his mom leave to go get in a car.
Yeah.
While Virginia and her friends are kind of still in the hallway. Virginia says she.
Well, they cross each other, don't they?
They do.
And
He
it's
just,
like he just
he
moved.
didn't even look at her.
Yeah.
Like that was not. He was mad.
That's weird.
And then I think we hear something where I'm not sure if it was his sister or something when Virginia's already left, and they were like, she wanted to get married, and now she's not ready. And it was like, oh, these may be fighting words. Let's go ahead and separate this. Like his family was not happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Virginia says she loves him, but just felt too fast.
Right.
Devin says he doesn't understand why, and he wasn't expecting it. And I believe him. I
Yeah.
actually believe him on both fronts. I don't think he understands it, and I don't think he expected it.
Yeah.
And Devin's mom says she thought she was looking for a husband, and now she's not ready. So we can see Devin's mom is taking this about just as hard as Devin is.
Right.
Like she wanted Virginia as a daughter-in-law. Virginia keeps apologizing and telling her friends, you know, and her mom, like, I'm so sorry. And her friends was like, stop.
Yeah.
You don't have anything to apologize for. You don't owe anyone an apology.
Right.
And we get to Virginia kind of talking by herself.
Yeah.
And then we
We
finally
get to the root of it, right?
Yes.
So we get to her saying that she felt like she needed to protect him
Which may be cultural, which makes sense.
with certain things that he didn't want to talk about, like politics and relationship stuff. And they didn't get sexual. They haven't had sex, right?
Yes.
In the relationship at all.
She said that is a depth they did not get to.
Right. And it's like, yeah, okay, well, that makes sense.
I mean, she says she thinks they should be all the way before they get married. And that's true. Like, you need to be able to talk about all of the things and get to the place where you want to have, like, she didn't go into really the sex stuff of like what happened. She just said they didn't get there. But like, why? What happened?
I wonder if it's because those other situations like politics, for example, or stuff that he didn't want to really talk about in layers made her not want to
go there
sexually.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
You know, if you can't get there mentally,
right.
You know, not everybody can get there physically,
right.
which totally makes sense to me.
Right.
You know, she said she didn't like that they had difference in politics, but that wasn't the deal breaker. It was how the communication around it was handled.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. We saw it. You know, he's got his arms folded, looking up at the ceiling.
Wall up.
Just like trying to skirt the conversations. We also find out that Devin received a check for a wedding present. And she found out from his mom. And Devin just never said anything to her about it.
Yeah, red flag, right?
Well, I would think so. Like, and a part of me wonders, like, okay, they agreed to have separate accounts plus a joint account. Was he maybe just waiting on them to create their joint account? Maybe they hadn't done it yet. Also, how much was the check?
Right.
Because if the check's like $200, okay.
Don't think it is because it's like for their wedding kind of thing. So I feel like it's at least $1,000.
But that's what I'm saying. Like if it's like $2,000, then I'm like, sir, why are you keeping this to yourself?
Right.
Versus like, you know, something that, you know, is a very small amount, which may not, you know, literally may slip the mind while everything was going on.
Yeah.
So I am a little bit like, but I think where I understand where she's coming from is that it just compounds on everything else.
Yeah.
It's just building like, okay, this isn't great. This isn't great. This isn't great. Like, oh my gosh, what am I supposed to do?
And it makes her not trust him, right? So that I get that for sure, obviously, yeah.
And then she says she doesn't regret her decision,
right?
Which I was so glad about.
Yeah.
And she says, today I put myself first, which is something new for me.
Yes.
And I was like, yes, Virginia.
Yeah.
And I don't begrudge her being your favorite. She's kind of my favorite too. So.
Thank you. Now I'm not the only one. All right.
And then we move on to Taylor and Daniel.
There we go.
Because Netflix said, y'all need a win.
Right.
So it was cute. They're getting ready.
Yeah.
They both send each other notes.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah, it's a nice, cute touch.
Yeah, I like that.
We find out they haven't had sex yet.
Right.
Which
I think their way of doing it is more healthy than the Devin and
theirs
Virginia.
was a mutual decision.
Yeah.
And they were
actually
both
like talked about it.
Right. And they were both like, but we're getting it in tonight. We're consummating. And Taylor was giving him all the kisses. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, and I think Taylor is the one who said she had taken it, the physical first before. So she was like actively trying not to do that again.
Yeah.
You know, so that was a little different. And Connie, Taylor's mom, comes in.
Right.
And she says, it's all about me, which I thought was funny. And that's when she hands Taylor the note from Daniel.
Funny,
actually.
not funny.
I'm just kidding. Not really.
Right.
And then we see Daniel's sister, and they lead her out to play the piano. And not only is she playing the piano, she's singing.
Yes.
And it was nice.
Yeah, that was a nice touch.
Because, you know, you never know if it's going to be good or not.
Right.
But it was good.
Yeah, it was good.
And she sang Fools Rush In, which, I mean.
Does it toggle your heart?
A little bit.
A bit.
And it was appropriate for
It
this.
tickles your heart a little bit.
For the, not, don't mock me. Like, I have feelings, okay?
Yeah.
And it was lovely. And then they wrote their own vows.
Yeah.
And once again, this was a real wedding for them.
Yeah.
They had, you know, their notes written out and everything. And in part of Taylor's vows, she wrote, "My soul has known your soul for a long time."
Yeah.
You
I
know,
thought that was a nice touch.
It was a good line.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that they haven't known each other, you know, physically for a very long time, for 6 weeks.
You know, that could be true still.
But I'm still saying it's true, but that's why she wrote the line and why it was so, I think it caught me.
Right.
And real simple. Taylor says I do, Daniel says I do.
Yeah.
And then they're done.
We got to win.
Yeah.
That's how a wedding should be.
Yeah. Wedding should be where both people say yes. That is how it should be. And then, they go to their reception, have some fun. I believe I saw some dance moves from Daniel.
Yeah.
And then they always do that kind of outro again with like the people who've broken up.
Right.
Which we've covered. And then, I said dance moves were questionable at the reception, but they look super happy.
Mm-hmm.
And then we just get the reunion trailer where it looks like it is about to be a bunch of mess.
I wrote down, I guess in that recap of the people who actually broke up in the wedding, I wrote down, Sarah says, you can't marry someone for their potential because they might not reach their potential.
And I remember saying, where has she been this whole time?
Right.
Yeah. Like it.
That makes sense.
100% true.
I never really thought about it like that, but that makes so much sense.
Yeah. I have myself and friends have said, we want someone who's fully potentied. Like, this whole potential thing is one thing.
Right.
Like, we want someone who's potentied. Right. You've done the work, you've done the things. Because you can, like...
Well, I think about it in terms of, like, okay, that made me think of, like, okay, like, reaching their full potential. I guess I got it confused with, like, me achieving things that I want in my life.
Right.
I thought it in terms of that. But no, it's in terms of I'm already at my full potential while I'm still working on getting this thing up here.
I think it can be both.
Yeah.
Because it can be not just achieving tasks, because that's always going to be something, we are people, we're dynamic, we're always changing, we're not static. We're not staying the same. So if you have this new goal, we're always setting new goals. Mm-hmm. So you always want to be reaching those things. But, knowing who you are as a person, knowing what your beliefs are, like the fundamental ones, because in theory, those likely won't change much.
Right.
Right. Knowing your love languages, being insightful, emotional intelligence, having the grounded things as a person to make sure you're able to live life, and do all the things you need to do to have the food and the clothes and the roof over the head, like all of those things.
Yeah.
So, he doesn't have opinions about things that have no impact on him. Right. He feels like, so she's just like, what am I supposed to do? And she doesn't know which way that sail's going to turn. Right. Because he hasn't even thought about it.
Exactly.
So, I felt like at the end she was saying super insightful things. And I was just like, where have you been this whole time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she woke up.
Yeah. And I think the sister was so just like, oh, thank goodness.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess that wraps it up for episode 13 of Love is Blind.
It does.
And, hey, it's not like an hour and a half, right? So
there's not much to say when 3 out of the 4 couples break up. Right.
But I am definitely looking forward to the reunion, which is going to be the next episode. It's going to be coming out on Wednesday morning, so look out for that.
Mm-hmm. I think we've enjoyed recapping all of this.
We have enjoyed it, haven't we?
Yeah, it's been a nice touch to, what we normally do just at the house.
Right, exactly. I think we learned a lot about, relationships and different perspectives of what people go through and stuff like that, and how their behaviors impact one another. And I think that's a big one too. So even though this isn't your normal Inspired Voices episode, I think it definitely complements what the show is about. It's about finding different behaviors, how people react to things, different perspectives. And it's not always pretty. It's not always fun. It's sometimes a struggle. And sometimes we have to work through those struggles to get to where we want to be.
I'm inspired.
I'm inspired too. And my name's Oliver Riera. And this is Sybil, soon to be Riera.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's true.
It's true. Yeah.
All right. Until next time, keep out for the reunion coming out on Wednesday. All right.
Mm-hmm.